What's the food like on the cruise ship? Hey, what's up guys? My name is Justin and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Ship Life. So in today's episode, we are going to be jumping on a very curious subject. Today we are talking about what the food is like on the ship. In today's episode, I'm going to be going over things like what fresh fruits and vegetables we have available on the ship. What's the crew mess like? What options are there for people that are vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian? I'll be going over all that and maybe just a little bit more. So stay tuned and enjoy another episode of Ship Life.
Let's go!
Alright, so real quick before we get into today's episode, if you guys could just do me a huge solid, if at any time you guys find this video enjoyable at all, or if you guys decide you want to support my channel, please go ahead and hit that like button for me at any given time. Also, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you guys can be informed and updated whenever I post my videos. And to the people that have already been supporting my channel, thank you. I cannot thank you guys enough. It means the world to me. Now, on to today's video. So what is the food really like while working aboard a cruise ship? So just so I'm not rambling on throughout the episode, I'm just going to be straight up with you guys before I go into too much detail and tell you what's up. Honestly, if you guys are picky eaters, if you have, a strict diet that you want to stick to, the cruise ship is not for you. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of options, which I'm going to explain in a minute, but I just want to go ahead and get that out of the way for the people that wanted the short answer. Now, let's go into detail. Alright, so speaking in very, very general terms, typically on the ship, for most crew, you have at least two eating options. One being, which obviously the crew area, the mess, and then you also have the guest areas. So both options have their pros and cons, their goods and bads. But before I break those down, I just want you guys to understand that all the restaurants, whether you're in a guest area or a crew area, they're all going to have the bare essentials that you guys might need. They all have rice, they all have other meats that you might want to try, they all have vegetables, they all have, drinking options. So just understand that. Now, let's go ahead a little bit more in depth. We'll start off with the guest area. So I know most of you guys are probably just worried about how things are on the crew side, how things are in the mess as far as the food. But I also think it's equally important to know how things are in the guest area as far as what extra options you might have available. But on top of that, you do have to save the best for last. How else am I going to get you guys to stick around for the entire video? But before I go into depth about either, guys, I say this all the time in my videos. The ship life is a whole nother world. It's a completely different life that you probably have never seen before. And you have to understand how to adapt. You have to be adaptable. If you can't be adaptable, I'm not going to lie to you, the ship is going to be a rough time for you. Or either that or you just won't finish your contract. It's one of the two. It's pretty simple. So just understand you guys have to be adaptable. Now, like I was saying, let's talk about how things are in the guest area. So the guest area is a privilege, just so you guys know. Every cruise line will let every crew member know that if they're going to go to a guest area, whether it be the free buffet or one of the specialty restaurants that you have to pay for, you are, it's a privilege that can be taken away. And along with that, you have to conduct yourself properly. Now, whether that's on the pro or con side, you guys can determine that for yourself, but I'm going to break it down to the best of my ability, what my opinion of all of it is, whether it be pros and cons. So let's start with the pros. There are a lot of good things that come with having the privilege to go into the guest area. One, on my end, I've told you guys, the ship is like a high school, all right? Everybody knows everybody. So when you get a chance to, step out of the crew area for a change, it's refreshing. You get to go out and just hang out with maybe some of your close friends, or you can go out by yourself and go to the restaurant. I think that's pretty cool. You have a lot more options. Now, I know there's a lot of similarities between the two, whether you're in a guest area or crew area, but obviously I think it goes without saying. On my ship, for example, we had 26 different guest experiences or guest restaurants that you can go to while on board, including the buffet. But even at the buffet alone, we had things like the things that we didn't have in the crew area, like cooler dessert options. I'm going to tell you right now, when we had Embarkation Day, those who don't know what Embarkation Day is, that's the day when we get to our home port, where we take the guests that were originally on, they get off, and new ones come on. That's Embarkation Day. I'm going to tell you right now, the thing that I would look forward to most was the Oreo cheesecake. We had that in the crew area because, you know, it was considered more of a specialty, all right? I was up at the buffet every single Embarkation Day, no matter what. You can see how excited I'm getting. But you have those options available to you. You have different meats available to you, things that you are a little bit more comfortable with, especially if you're an American on an American cruise line. They're going to cater to, you know, the bulk of their guests. You know, the majority of their guests are American, so they're going to have primarily American food unless you're going to a specialty restaurant, whether it be an Asian restaurant or French, because they have those available as well. Now let's talk about some cons. I know things sound all fun and nice and a good idea, but there are definitely cons to being able to go to the guest areas to eat. One being the availability. Now, for most crew, because, you know, I've told you guys before, just on my cruise line, we break things down into the white card crew members and the yellow card crew members. It's weird, but it's a thing. If you're a white card, if you're a regular crew member, basically what happens is you aren't allowed to go to certain restaurants ever, and you aren't allowed to go to, let's say like the buffet, you can't go there at a certain time. Like, for example, if you want to go there for breakfast, you have to be there before, on my ship I believe it's 8 a.m. You have to be in and out before 8 a.m. So you can go before that, but you couldn't go after 8 a.m. Lunch wasn't an option because all the guests were there, obviously. And dinner, I believe it was after 9 p.m. you were allowed to go. The only exception to those rules would be if we were in a port. If we were in, you know, Cozumel or, you know, Bermuda or something like that, obviously the guests for the most part will be out on the port, you know, experiencing all the restaurants and excursions there. So the crew were allowed to go to those areas. They can go to all specialty restaurants and all that and eat. So those were the exceptions. All right, so for those of you that are still with me, let's go ahead and get over to the crew area. By that, I mean, let's talk about the famous mess. So just to give you a general overview, the mess is, for a lot of people, the place of convenience. It's the place where you can go get a quick meal, on most cases, which I'll tell you about in a minute. It's a place where you can go get a quick meal, get something, a quick bite to eat before you return to work or when the day is done. Yeah, but don't get me wrong, the food there is not bad. I'm going to go over it in a minute. But again, it's still one of those places where you have to be a little bit more open and, adaptable. So let's go over the pros of the crew mess. One in particular, like I said, guys, the convenience of it all. For a lot of people, the crew mess is the only place they really go to eat. You know, for some, which is a con of it, is that they don't have any other option. But the good side of it is that the convenience is definitely a big deal when you're on the ship, because there are a lot of people that are working long, hard, crazy hours while on board. So the convenience of the mess being usually somewhere, easily located on the ship, it allows for the crew to have, a place to go get a quick bite to eat at somewhat of a leisure. They can go in there, they can relax a little bit without having to run back to work. Now, given obviously we're on a ship, so typically you don't have to go, too far to go get a meal. You're not driving, 20 minutes down the road or 40 minutes down the road to go to Chick-fil-A or whatever you want to go do for lunch. Everything is available on board, but, the mess in particular, usually it's pretty convenient. Another pro would be that it's a good place to, understand somebody else's culture. It's a big thing for me. Honestly, the reason that I love traveling so much is that you do get to understand cultures and see how other people live, eat, that whole thing, what their diet consists of. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I've said before, guys, you have your, your basic diet or whatever you need to accommodate. Because they, in the mess, they do try to accommodate you. You have your rice, beans, vegetables, all that other good stuff. You also have your condiments available as well. You need ketchup. They have forks, knives, chopsticks, everything that you might need. Again, you have to be adaptable in these situations. But a very good pro is that, you get to learn. You get to see how other people eat, what they eat, and, it's cool. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's been times where I look at the little, the mystery meat. They have it there. They always do. There's always some meat in there that you have no idea what it is. I've tried it, and it honestly wasn't that bad. So, if you're down for that, I guess that would be a pretty cool pro. I mean, there's other ones, but honestly, again, I'm not gonna make this, this video too long. But those are two good pros that I think, you guys should look out for when you're talking about working on a ship. Now let's go over some cons of the mess. One in particular, it's repetitive. One reason people prefer to eat in the guest areas if they can is that you see the same things in the mess, all right? I'm talking about the same people, the same food for the most part. They'll change things around every now and then. The mystery meat might change in flavor, but there's always a mystery meat. There's always the rice. There's always your same basic vegetables. Things don't really change. So I know for a lot of people that are doing, let's say, a 6-month to 9-month contract, I'm sure you can imagine that you get pretty tired of, your typical beans and rice every single day, Monday through Friday, embarkation day to debarkation day, port day, it's all the same. So obviously that's definitely a no-go for a lot of people. I know me personally, I was never in the mess, at least on a regular basis. I had the yellow card, so I formed a habit of going to other restaurants, which honestly I know I shouldn't have, because it just makes entertainment look bad. But that's not a subject we're talking about today. But I was there every now and then, so that's definitely a bad aspect of it. It's definitely repetitive. You'll get the same things over and over and over. Another con to the mess would be that it can get a little crowded at times, and even worse, it can get a little crowded with the same people over and over and over again. One fact about the world is that it doesn't matter where you are, there's always some, basic lunch time for everybody. So on the ship, just like, let's say here in the States, it would be anywhere between, 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Everybody's at the mess. Everybody's trying to get something to eat. Now, things can get a little worse, too. Let's say, for example, on my ship, there was a GI outbreak, a disease outbreak, and all the crew could only go into the crew areas to eat. They can only go to the mess. And that was a rare phenomenon, because obviously there are the share people like me, unfortunately, that doesn't spend a lot of time at the mess. So when you have all 2,000 crew members at the mess, I'm sure you can get the idea that it can get pretty crowded. And getting food could take anywhere from 20 minutes up to even an hour at times. And that's definitely not a good thing. So, you got to keep that in mind as well. You got to plan accordingly. Even though, the ship can be either big or small, you have to plan, the best time to go get some food. Along with that, another con would be that there's certain times where the mess is shut down. It's not like what everybody talks about. This honestly goes for both the guest and crew area. There are certain times where the restaurants are shut down. There are 3 times a day, obviously, where you can go to the mess. That'd be breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They close at a certain time to reset up and clean and all that, and then they reopen for a certain amount of time. And then you have like maybe a late night where they just have snack food and all that. So, take it how you want, but again, you guys always have to be adaptable. Alright, so I think I've talked enough. I think I've given you guys enough information. At least I hope so. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, guys. As always, you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'm going to leave my email somewhere around here. Just hit me up. Follow my Instagram. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Thank you guys, as usual. And by the way, I think I should be getting a notification as far as a confirmation as far as my cruise ship contract. I'll let you guys know what's going on with that. But until I hear something back, I will see you guys next week. Take it easy.